Back to the Project Podcast. I'm Connor Lewis, and I'm joined by a very special guest, Joe Picozzi, Rhode Island. He's presently in Rhode Island. Director. Joe, how are you today, man? Thanks for being here.
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing swell. You've been a hard guy to track down, man. You've been a very busy bee. You've been in California recently. You got to show off your recent short film, My Kind of People, which you allowed me to watch. Again, I appreciate you letting me see that. And I've seen a lot of your work recently. I've even seen one of your older student films that I'll talk to you about later. I found it on YouTube. I had to do a lot of digging. But I guess that's the best place to start. You've been in California. Did you win the award for the Russo brothers, Italian-American filmmaker? So
yeah, I did.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So that was this latest short. The Russo brothers do an Italian-American fellowship. I saw that, saw it as a good opportunity to get something made and something was relevant to me. And I always wanted to do a Rhode Island movie and do it, something about my background. So it was like a good opportunity to do that. And then I was like, what could I come up with that would fit this fellowship? So that's where the movie came from, and we won with our pitch. So they fund 5 films. They give $10,000 to 5 filmmakers, and then they pick a winner out of the 5 once we go and make the movie, and we were the winner out of 5. So yeah, it's been crazy, and the Russo brothers and Agbo have been extremely supportive and brought me out to LA and introduced us to Stanley Tucci, and they did this dinner honoring him. They do they honor an Italian American every year, so they played our film at the event, and it was wild.
So I assume you've had conversations with the Russo brothers. What were those conversations like? I'm very interested in hearing about that. And about Stanley Tucci, if you got to talk to him as well.
They're all super normal guys, like, and it was a lot about filmmaking and just about my film and stuff. But it was, and I got to talk to them about their process and ask them questions. It's a different thing when you're that busy and that big of a deal. So it's like it was just unreal that they took the time, and that they were so nice. And then I didn't disappear. Like, their mentorship program is incredible. I'm constantly in touch with their company, and they invited me out to set on a movie they're producing. So I get to go hang out with the director and the screenwriter. It's like it's really surreal that it's not just like a sweepstakes, like I thought I was gonna get like dumped out after a weekend.
The movie that you were on set for, it wasn't Avengers, was it?
No, I haven't gotten access, but no, it was called The Whisper Man, and I got to see Robert De Niro act, and some heavy hitters, Adam Scott, Michelle Monaghan. But no, it was just like, I'm so grateful to them. They really care. They really care about young filmmakers and like the future of film. So it was like very inspiring and motivating to see, and like knowing that I have their support,
Yeah, so I have a lot of questions about My Kind of People. Hope you don't mind me asking a ton about it. There's a very pivotal scene in the short where a major Martin Scorsese film is referenced. I don't really want to spoil it because I don't want to give too much away. I don't know if eventually this will be up to the public or how that's going to work, but I'm curious to know how Scorsese, who's been so influential to me, how has he influenced you in your filmmaking style, especially when creating something that's so close to your own heritage?
That's a great question. Got introduced to Scorsese when I was 10 years old. Like Goodfellas is a fixture. I'm sure you know about this.
Yeah, oh no, I'm familiar. I'm pretty familiar. I'm sure I have a DVD around here somewhere. Actually, I'm looking at right on my shelf right next to me.
It's become an American fixture on TV and other. I mean, it's one of the greatest films ever made. Maybe the greatest film ever made. I don't know, but Uh,
I'd
yeah,
argue, yeah, but
that was my intro to him, and he like my interest in Marty, spurred an interest in film. You know, he was always maximally inspiring to my style, especially when I shifted over. Like I started in comedy and sketch comedy, and I moved into real filmmaking. Um, yeah, he's one of the Mount Rushmore, filmmakers for sure.
yeah,
Also,
I mean, he's inspired me a lot. I mean, if you just go down the list of, he's been working for however many years, since like the 60s, started doing shorts, I think, or maybe early 70s, started doing short films, which I've seen almost all of them, I think. And he's still making stuff, and he has like a movie with The Rock coming down the pipeline, which we'll see. But it's just so fascinating, and that scene, that scene in the short, which I guess we should just say it references Goodfellas, since you already kind of brought it up. But it was so funny how it kind of plays on one of the an important scene in that film. Was there Is that something that you've seen a lot, like where movies get misquoted and then you get inspired by that, or is it something just came off the top of your head?
um, that was like a that came about because I was working on a scene where it was like, how do we show that Gio, the main character, really cares about this deeply, and it happened to be funny too that he would be like anal about these things, and I'm sure I've found myself in spots with people who are more Italian or more uh showy about it, and they don't know the stuff, as and it's just like if you're a sports fan and you're sitting with a fan and they're like, they don't know the name of the center fielder, and you're like, what are you talking, like, like, I thought you know everything. So it was just like a funny way to do that in the movie.
There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of great comedic moments. There's also some great dramatic moments. I'm curious to know how you found that balance and being able to do both in a very short amount of time.
It was kind of natural, man. Like, I wanted to make a movie like that, and my stuff has always like been a mix of light and dark, and this one is less dark, but it's some real shit, and you try to like capture life, as you see it. I don't know how to answer that really.
No, I think I know what you're saying. I mean, that it feels very real. Like the movie feels very real. The scenes where there's back and forth between all the family members. It feels. I'm not Italian by any means, but it feels like something that I would see at my family dinner or Thanksgiving or Christmas party. And then those very dramatic moments, they feel so weighty. Like they do feel realistic because that's kind of just life. Like it feels like, to reference him again, it feels like Martin Scorsese, where a lot of his movies are funny, but really not for the right reasons. Like sometimes they're funny because they're so real. Like Goodfellas is very similar in that way. It reminds me of that a lot. But also like Taxi Driver a little bit, which is obviously another dark movie by him, where there's parts in those films where they're so serious and they feel very real and very weighty, but they're almost funny because they feel so real. And that's like the dramatic irony of it. And I just got reminded of that in this a lot. And I'm curious to know, I'm sure, because obviously you're Italian, how did like those family moments in real life influence those back and forth at dinner between the family and this movie?
Very influential. I mean, he really nails the sense of humor that our people have, and I think that's why I resonated with his movie so much. Growing up, is because I would go outside or go to a family function and just live it. Like the characters in the movie were characters that were running around uh Providence, and it's they're disappearing now, but that was like a big thing when I was growing up. Like the personalities were so strong, and we had a connection to that world. So um no, super influential. His sense of humor is incredible. I mean, all the if you saw Clark Peters, that one's also incredibly inspired by Marty, and even his short films from NYU. Like, a lot of his humor was, I found like a lot of similarities with my own.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, I haven't. I'll be honest, I have not seen all of them. all of your short films yet. Gonna definitely check them all out, especially after this. But this came across this thought came across my mind when I was watching My Kind of People for the second time. A lot of directors, they make a short film. I think of like Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs. I think of Damien Chazelle with Whiplash. They make a short film and they eventually adapt into a longer feature film. Has that interest? Is that any interest to you? Like, has that idea ever sprung up, or are you just kind of gonna leave it as it is?
Yeah, we're deep in the process actually. We're about 4 or 5 drafts in to the feature, and it's coming along really nice. It's really kind of departed from the short in a lot of ways, but um, is also really true to the short. But if you saw the short, like the whole thing about an Italian taking a DNA test and not being Italian and crashing out, it's like it's a great plot for a short film, but like that's not a feature film. It's like it runs out of gas, like, and it's a little it's a 15-minute story. Um so like I didn't want to do the feature initially. I was convinced otherwise, but I think really in the texture of the short, I was like, there's a feature here in the world, in the family, in the and just hearing, like you said, like it's very universal, and people of other cultures, so many basically every other culture has come up to me and been like, that's like my family, and that's so like that's a good lesson. Like the more specific you go to yourself, you find like common ground with people. But yeah, I was like, there's definitely a movie here, and I would love to make one in this vein. So where it's inspired a lot of refocusing of the plot, um, but it's going to be like the same heart.
That's I mean that's exactly what I'm looking for in a movie. I feel like we've gotten to a point in films recently where everything feels it's shot very similar. I feel like a lot of things on different streaming platforms, but everything feels like everything needs to be ironic, and not everything needs to have like heart and substance. And every time a new movie comes out, it's almost like everything's like a wink at the camera, so to speak. Like it's like it feels like, I don't want to say inauthentic, but I can't find another word to describe how some films are these like recently. Not to be like an old man and be like, oh, it's better how it used to be, but I feel like there was a movie that came out. I'm sure you've seen it. It's called Nanas. It was on Netflix. That movie had a lot of heart to me. I don't think it's a perfect movie. I really liked it though. And that movie had a lot of heart because it didn't feel like it needed to be something it wasn't. It didn't need to like feel ironic, even though Vince Vaughn's a very sarcastic figure and an actor I love very much. It didn't feel like he was trying to do like a wink at a camera and say, "Hey, this is kind of a crazy situation." It felt real. It felt very weighty. And that was a movie that I was reminded of when I was watching My Kind of People. Maybe it was just the Italian food part. Maybe that's what reminded me of it a little bit. But I'm very excited to see a feature length version of My Kind of People. I mean, I liked it a lot. I'm curious to know if you're kind of going to ditch the DNA plot line. Are you going to expand upon it? Or are you going to make it just like a feature of the entire film? How is that going to work?
Yeah. So I can tell you where we're at right now. May change. But it's become a story about him grieving his father, trying to fill his father's footsteps, and then so his father is alive at the beginning of the movie, and suddenly passes very very early into it, and he's given this letter that from his father that he never had given him, and it basically says like, you might not be my son. So it inspires him to go on this short quest, to figure out if this is true, if it's not true, and then ultimately, we're gonna find out, and we're gonna find out who his father is. But it sends him on like this thing where he flirts with the kind of the dark side. I'm more directly wrestling with like good things about being Italian American, and then like the stereotypes and like the toxic traits. So it's going to be like a tale of two cities a little bit, like where he's like, it's a late coming of age. This guy's like 28 and he has two role models, two father figures, and who is he going to be like?
I'm very excited. That sounds like I don't know if I don't want this comparison to like offend you because it's a much lighter movie, but a little bit of Mamma Mia, just
Oh,
in
I
the
haven't
sense.
seen Mamma Mia.
Really, there's well, one of the like
I should watch.
the major plot point is like she's trying the main woman is trying to discover who her father is, and she has three different people that could be her father. It's like Pierce Brosnan's one of them. There's a couple different other guys in there. It's a movie I haven't seen in a couple years, but it just reminded me of that when you were describing the plot. That sounds very interesting. I'm excited to see. You're a very authentic filmmaker. Everything I've seen of you, it's felt very like real. It seems like it's coming from a place of like personal influence. Even some of your darker things, it feels very personal. I will also say if you need someone to fill any small roles, if you need an extra, I'm your guy. I live not too far from you, my man. But to get back to some of the questions, you mentioned before Scorsese. He's on your Mount Rushmore, so to speak, of filmmakers. Is there a full Mount Rushmore of influential filmmakers in your life, or is it kind of just you haven't really thought it through like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there's dozens of filmmakers, it's always changing. Like I'll go see something and be really inspired by it, but and it changes with time too, like whatever project I'm working on. But Kubrick um is huge for me. I made a sci-fi before this, and was very inspired by Kubrick. John Cassavetes, um, especially for my kind of people and beyond. Spielberg. Um, yeah, I Paul Thomas Anderson, who's having a great year.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I want to make mass appeal stuff that's a little satirical, a little dark, and bringing the heart back. Like you were saying. So it's like I don't want to get too in the weeds ever with make esoteric pretentious things. I think we're not in the era for that. Um like
I
I
just
want
hope you
to.
don't fully go there ever, honestly.
Yeah.
But go on. Sorry. Yeah.
I like that stuff a lot. But I love the audio. I love like reaching people and connecting with people. So um that's kind of where I'm at.
I recently watched Switch, which is a student film from like 5 or 6 years ago. I had to really do some digging to find it on YouTube. Honestly, it took me a lot of work. It feels very unlike a film like this. Obviously, it's been so many years. What is it about like a darker tone of that short film that was so intriguing to direct? I know you didn't write it and you wrote My Kind of People, but like what made that so intriguing to kind of take on?
That was really fun. That was an assignment in class, and we got put in a group. That at USC they love to put you in a random group and make you figure it out. And it was a lot of learning. But like in that one, I was working with my friends and really good sci-fi writer, this guy Ari, and this really talented director in his own right, Dimitri, and he also is a DP. And Audrey, who is a sound designer now. So it was like a really cool team, and we had no. It was like very collaborative. It was like we sat around and we were like, all right, what could we do with this? And we just started kicking around ideas, and then we got on a specific idea, and I forget how it came about, but it was a lot of like back and forth, and then Ari went and write it and brought it back to us, and you know um I was like, oh, I could see we could do like a little like Halloween, um not Halloween the movie, but like like monster horror, sci-fi kind of thing with it. And somebody knew about that location. It was like so it was all very practical, and it was like what effects can we get done. So we ended up like going way overboard for this class project, but that one really traveled, and it got on Dust, and it was like a 1 day shoot, and me and Dimitri knew how to do everything and taught me, and we sat there and um made her eyes like that every frame.
Yeah.
It was really fun, and different for me, and it like pushed me way out of my comfort zone, and probably set me up, to do Computer Love, which was like my big film. That was next.
Yeah, and those darker tones, they in both those short films, they really work for me. I really enjoyed and Switch especially. I did find it on Dust, and the comments, they were all praised, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, this is kind of amazing. Recently, not to make this whole interview about myself, but recently I filmed
I
a
actually, one second. I
yeah.
have a
Go ahead,
funny story about Switch.
please.
When we showed it in class, everybody in class hated it. They thought it was stupid. They uh they said this doesn't make sense. We don't like this. Like, and it was the weirdest response I had ever gotten from class. They were just like extreme haters, and we were like, what the hell's going on? Uh, so it was nice that it just did so many things after, but like it was supposed to be nothing. It was supposed to be like I think people were embarrassed that we actually made a film. But yeah, sorry. Say
No,
what?
no, I'm actually curious. What were the other films like then? If yours was so like completely different from what everyone else is doing, I'm very curious to know what everyone else was doing.
It was just a very limited amount of time. They gave us like a month to figure it out and do it and finish, and we managed to do all that in a super short amount of time. The teacher was this guy Bruce Block. He's like a legendary teacher at USC, and he was very supportive of the film and loved the film. But the class was like, it was weird, man.
Dude, they were jealous, bro. Let's be real.
It was,
That,
yeah. I
that
don't know. I
film
don't know. I
rocked,
don't.
bro. Come
I had
on, that
never experienced that firsthand before. It was quite weird.
dude, that comes with everything, though, man. They were, I swear to God, they were jealous. I'm not even just saying that because you're here. I'm like, dude, that movie was pretty damn good. And to think you did it in a month, I didn't even know that. I'm even more impressed now. That's so strange. I'm very curious. I wish I could see those other ones, those other short films. I'm sure they were just like some BS about whatever. But
Yeah, you can't let that get you down, man. Like, that was so fun. The whole thing was so fun. We brought in this girl Jolene, who ended up working with me on Computer Love. Like, every project, if you just set out to have a good time and like make some friendships, like, that's where you want to be.
absolutely. And I will say I did, recently film a show for Amazon Prime, which I'm allowed to talk about now. It's not like a crazy thing yet, but it got me very interested in getting in front of a real camera. It's a show called The College Tour. Each episode, basically, they go from like college to college, and usually like 10 to a dozen students maybe give like a testimony about their college. You write your own script, which is very cool. They give you notes, but you get to talk right at the camera, and you get to basically say your experience at your college so far and all these things. And it's going to be on Amazon Prime in the spring. Like, it's a real thing. And at first I didn't think too much of it, but when I got there and I met like there were so many people involved. Like, there's producers, obviously, there's camera crew, director, all these people here, and I'm realizing this is such a collaborative medium. Like that, like everyone kind of knows that, but when you're there, and even in a smaller project like this, where the crew is probably like 10 people, maybe a little more than that, you realize how collaborative it is. And that when you just mentioned how collaborative your time on Switch was, it reminded me of that and how incredible it is, because the back and forth people on the crew have with each other, people making jokes, whatever. It felt so real, and it made me really enjoy being a part of something that will be on Amazon Prime, like a legit show. And that's just all it reminded me of, and I thought I would bring it up because I very much wrote to the story, and it made me so interested in learning more, and that especially made me want to reach out to you and learn more about like what is the director seeing when he's on set and like when he's seeing these things. But I am very curious to know, obviously you're still a younger guy, you're not that much older than me, but for people I have a lot of friends in film school right now at BU, at USC, and all these places. If you could share some advice to them, people that want to get into filmmaking, but they're not really sure where to start, shed some light on them, my man.
Yeah, man, that's a big question. Especially nowadays with what's going on and the economy and the industry. That is a really tough question. And it was easier when I had to make decisions, and it's just gotten harder and harder, I think. Here's what I will say. I, a lot of people have been asking me advice recently. Um, and, I started giving advice in a way that would save everybody a lot of pain and a lot of trouble. But then that takes away the whole thing. It takes away the whole uh, growing. You can't save people that much trouble if they're trying to do this like really terrible, hard thing. Um, so like when people ask me, like you'll get all kinds of answers when people are like, should you go to film school? Is it worth it? And the reason is because it's different for everybody. I saw a really good Reddit comment on this thread about USC, and they said if you're really really poor or really really rich, you should go to USC. If you're in the middle, you're gonna get punished. And I was like,
That's good advice.
amazing. I never thought about it like that. Like you're gonna pay for it, and it's like if you're not paying for it, it's a great place to go and fuck around for 3 years. You know, like go and meet your network and go have fun and live in LA and shit. I was just at a Q&A at Proof Film Festival over the weekend with River Gallo, who made a great feature that I haven't seen yet, but they made a great short that did all festivals, and like it was a thesis film from USC. And from an outsider view, that's somebody who really got propped up and supported by the school and was like the star and got everything they wanted and made the movie, and even they were like, man, it's not worth it. Like, so I was like, damn, like listen to River. I don't know. That's like the dream scenario, and like it hasn't happened for me quite yet, but that's like something to really think about. I think today, with the internet and everything, everyone's going to say this, and it's not exciting, and it's not, nobody wants to hear this, but all the information is out there. And the number one thing you can do to become a filmmaker is love film. You just have to love film, eat film for breakfast every meal of the day. Like three films a day. Like Leo used to watch 3 films a day when he was acting as a kid. But then that doesn't solve like how do you meet people in the industry, So there's no answer. There's no good answer. It's an individual question, and there's a million different routes in. You have guys like James Cameron and David Fincher that I think, if I'm remembering correctly, they worked their way up through the industry from the bottom. They're absolute savages. You know what I mean? I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't know how to do that. I don't think I would make it. I'm too quiet, So like it's different for everybody. I'm really happy where I am now. So it's like, I guess you could follow the path that I followed, but I'm very lucky to have made it this long and survived this long,
Yeah, I think Fincher started like I don't know if he started doing it, but I think he's done like commercials in the past or like music videos. Like he was taking like paycheck jobs. I mean, his first film was I think Alien 3, which a lot of people don't like, which I haven't seen it yet, but a lot of people do not like Alien 3. I won't take up too much more of your time.
Industry too.
What's that?
Different time in the industry, so it's always changing. Opportunities are always changing. Make stuff is, no one wants to hear that either. But like, I think a lot of people get caught up in like, how do I do this? Who do I meet? What event do I go to? Like who, and not like just writing a great script or getting a great project together, making a great film. If you haven't made a great film, wrote a great script, you got shit to do. You got work to do. Like that takes precedence. It always comes from the work. Everything I've ever gotten in life, in this career, is through the work and through somebody fucking with my work. So it's like, if you can't do the work, you don't have to worry about anything else. Like you shouldn't really, because it's not, And then somebody will find you and be like, I want to be your rep. I want to help you find you. I want to find you work, you know? So then you won't have to do anything, you know?
That's the dream, is to not do anything, right? That's the overall dream of a director. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know I told you 30 minutes, but I have one last major question for you. And I want to start asking any filmmaker or any actor I have on this. What is the last great thing that you've watched that you want to give a shout out to?
Man, I've watched a lot of great stuff lately.
I've seen.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm shocked. I'm as shocked as anyone. Predator Badlands it
It
ripped.
was. Yeah, it did.
I'm not a Predator. I don't know anything about Predator. I didn't know what a Predator was. That movie rips. That guy's cool. That's a good movie. It was fun. You know, Weapons, Sinners, one battle after another. Loved. Can't wait to see Marty Supreme. I saw a lot of great shorts at Proof. A lot of great filmmakers over there coming up.
There was a screening at BU for this Friday for Marty Supreme, and I can't believe I can't go to that. It sold out like that. Like it sold out like immediately. And there's a Q&A with, I think, Josh Safdie directed that one, right? Yeah, there's a Q&A afterwards with him, and I could not believe it. That's like, literally the dream. He's like, you're here, then it's Safdie, then it's the rest of me. That's how I view it. But Joe, I appreciate you being here. If you want to plug yourself, your Instagram, anywhere people can find you, watch your stuff, I encourage you to do it now. I think you have so much great stuff out there. I think the people should see it. So if you want to plug it now, the stage is yours, my man.
Yeah, just follow me, Joe Picozzi, on Instagram. You'll see the spelling.
All right. Well, Joe, I really appreciate you being here, and to all the viewers and all the watchers on YouTube and Spotify, thanks for joining us. And I've been your host, Connor Lewis, signing off.